Hello, and welcome to Geeks Assemble. And today, yes, everybody wave there. And today we are talking about a 1985 movie based on a well-known board game. As you can tell what it is yet, it's Clue, the movie. The board game, as we know in America, Clue, in the UK, Cluedo. Um, yes. But as I was saying before we started this cast, I love this game, the board game, but nobody will play it with me because I always win within about 3 moves. I always guess who's done it. I don't know why. Poirot's got nothing on me. Um, so we'll go around this small gathering today and we'll talk about Clue the movie. Let's go to the green screen sofa with Susan and Alex.
Go for it.
This does have a good cast. I do like Tim Curry mostly in here, and I think he's basically the main star of the movie. I've seen it many different times. I've seen it usually with all the endings included. I remember one time they actually showed it in Boston or close to Boston with all 3 endings included, and they didn't even tell anybody. So that was kind of interesting. A few people were confused. It's not bad. I prefer the other version that Eileen Brennan was also in called Murder by Death, but that was more 10 Little Indians, and it was made in 1976 instead of 1985, so it was a lot more politically incorrect. But they also had more stars. But as I said, they had, what is it, Eileen Brennan? Is that her name?
Yes.
So she was actually in both movies. But as I said, it's similar, but it's not exact. And of course, murder mysteries after a while get to be pretty common. I know that they've been doing newer versions now of Agatha Christie and all her characters and things like that. And basically, it's all sort of ripping off 10 Little Indians or And Then There Were None or whatever the name is. It changes from decade to decade and country to country. As Lee just said, in other countries it's known more as Cluedo, which I don't quite get, but that's fine. I think I've only played the actual board game a couple of times, but I've seen the commercial like a billion times. They used to play that all the time. Um, I know they have a few board game nights in Massachusetts. I know this weekend they're actually doing a Clue reenactment slash scavenger hunt in Boston. So that might be fun.
Really?
Yeah, they are. But then we wouldn't be here either.
True.
So it would sort of,
So yay for
and
podcasting.
we would need an extremely strong Wi-Fi signal. So it's a good movie. It does have some good actors. I do like how they're able to keep it somewhat entertaining, and they did kind of explain everything. But in terms of movies that I would actually buy, I prefer Murder by Death, and that had Peter Sellers and Alec Guinness and David Niven and a lot more bigger stars. But it's a similar theme anyway.
So I enjoyed this. I really like Tim Curry. I really think he's amazing. And in this one, he steals every scene that he's in. He eats all the scenery. He just chews it up. And and the story is intriguing. There are 3 different endings, and there are 3 different possibilities. I'm just wondering what my fellow castmates, which one they like the most. But there are, let's see, there are 6 people who are there who are being blackmailed, and there's a staff of 5 or 6, a staff of 6 people who are running this house, and so it's quite amusing anyway. And my roommates always quote the scene. If I was to make a long story short, oh no, you didn't.
No, it's too late.
It's too late, and so anyway, they were funny. They enjoyed this movie a lot. I had seen it about 10 times before this, but this time seems to be more memorable. I'm actually, I actually remember pretty much the whole movie now. So that's different and fun, and so I enjoyed it.
Cool. That's a good thing about it. As long as you enjoy the movies we watch. I do like Alex's comparison to Made About Death as well. That is a cool movie. Yeah. Now you mention it, yeah, I can see the similarities. Which is, I think it was. I think Made About Death was by Neil Simon, wasn't it? I think written by Neil Simon. Yeah. So, which was a good writer. Let's go over to Ethan now. What he thinks of Clue.
This, well, as everybody said, it is a good movie, and I put it as one of my on the list of many favorite movies of all time. It's a good, fun movie, and it's probably the only film based on a game that actually works. It works really well. Because you usually get, these days, you get video games, movies, or whatever, but this one works, and they do it brilliantly. You've got the black comedy is perfect, where they find all the bodies, and it gets to the point they're getting so tired of it that they just don't care anymore. Like when they find the maid lying there dead, and they just go, this is getting serious. And all the actors in it are they just nail the parts perfectly. I mean, like you said, Eileen Brenner in it, Michael McKean as Green, who's hilarious, Christopher Lloyd as Professor Plum, Martin Mull as Mustard, and the great Madeline Kahn, who's hilarious in it. And there's a line she says I love, but I'll get to that later. That always gets me. And of course, you've got Leslie Ann Warren, who's just both sexy and funny as Scarlet. And then you've got Tim Curry, who just nails the part perfectly. And I'm a massive Tim Curry fan. Massive. As you can see, I've got his CDs. I've got Tim Curry's, the only 3 CDs he's done. Anything he touches is gold. And he's always the best part of any movie. Even if it's bad, he just chews it up, and he's just so enjoyable to watch. But what I love about this one is, sorry, go on.
He is enjoyable to watch. However, he was the butler in the new version of The Family Affair. And,
I've never seen that.
Yeah, and he was the only enjoyable thing in it. I think it was around the 2000s, like 1998 to 2000. Is
that a murder mystery?
No, but he was the butler in that as well. But it was a new version of Family Affair, and I kind of went, I don't know if that needs a remake. Anyway.
But yeah, no, anything he touches is gold. And what was I going to say? Oh yeah, what I was going to say was what I love about his role in this is, depending on what ending you watch, he's the good guy. He's like the main lead good guy, really, if you think about it. And most of the time, he's always playing villains or shady characters and stuff. But in this, he's a good guy. Like I said, depending on what ending you watch, like there's one ending where it's him, but the other 2 endings, he's still the good guy. And I just love how manic he gets. And he just says all these great lines and stuff. But one favorite scene I'll mention later, where he just pulls it off so brilliantly. And I just love how they play off each other. And I love the adult humor in it. even though it's a family game, they actually put in some good adult humor in it, and the music's brilliant and everything. And it is just a great fun movie that always makes me smile. And that's pretty much what I could say about it.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, he pretty much has the most lines in the whole movie. And I'm saying to myself, wow, he had a lot of script to memorize. He really did. He had a lot to do, because when you think about it, I think there's only 3 people in the whole movie that have even half as many lines as he does.
Mm-hmm.
True. That is true.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, all around a great movie as well. It's actually produced by good guys as well. I forgot it was John Peters and Peter Guber, who I believe went on to do another favorite movie of mine, 1989 Batman.
Yeah, pretty close to it.
John Landis did it. So you could sort of see that John Landis, who did American Werewolf in London, another great movie. So you could see that those sort of things that they've done before or later do. But it's a great fun movie.
Well, yeah, he also helped with the Blues Brothers and other things. So I mean, that's why you also want a good producer, because if you really like them, and they're not just making a movie to make a movie or make a really bad movie, it's very pleasant if you can see, you can sort of compare all their works from the beginning to the end, or whatever they're doing now, and you can see a lot. You can either see a lot of progression, or whether they do a lot of different styles, or whether they want to use the exact same actors. Hopefully, unless they're very strong characters, they're not using all of the same actors. But yeah, I mean, obviously this could have been a lot worse. It could have been, even more cheesy. I don't know. I can't remember where they got the mansion from, but I mean, that looks great. So yeah, it could have been a lot worse, and it wasn't. Thank goodness.
Well,
yeah, it's what can you make a clue? For me, I mean, it's been mentioned now that Tim Curry, whatever he does, even if it's the movie's not good, he always makes the best of it. Yeah, and for me, it was Tim Curry's performance in this. I mean, you have got some good actors in this, as you say, you've got Madeline Kahn, Aline Brennan, Christopher Lloyd, but for me, Tim Curry killed the show. And the way they took the board game, just a plain board game, and created a movie out of that. It's such good writing, and they've got everything in this movie. They've got the secret passages going from the study to the kitchen to the whatever to the billiard room or whatever. They've taken that from the board game, put it in the movie. You've got the revolver, the rope, the candlestick, the lead pipe, all that lot. I mean, I don't know why they changed. I mean, I don't know if it's in America, but I don't know why they changed Reverend Green to Mr. Green. I don't know.
It is American. Yeah, in America, it is Mr. Green. Over here, we've got Reverend Green.
Reverend Green. Yeah,
that's the one change, because that's how it wasn't over there.
Yeah, and also the victim in over here on the board game is Dr. Black, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
So, but it's nobody. Well, yeah, the humour's there. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But all the while, you don't really care, because you're watching Tim Curry, and he's in virtually every scene of the movie. He's there, and as it's been said, he acts his socks off from beginning to end. And also at the time of this, 1985, sending out the movie to the movie theatres with 3 different endings. I don't think that's ever been done before, and I don't think it's ever been done since. To be honest, I don't know. But so you didn't know what ending you was going to see when you went to that movie theatre, which is a good. which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay, two.
I mean, on the DVD, you get the two endings,
Oh,
and you can watch all three at the end of the movie, or you can do the random one, as Ethan likes to do, apparently. He likes the random ending. But yeah, it's a good movie. It's not a classic movie, but it's an enjoyable watch. So we'll go back the other way around. We'll go back to Ethan. And favourite moments or things you would have changed or you didn't like. Over to you, Ethan.
Okie doke. I don't think I would have changed anything in this movie. I think they pretty, like you said, some things work, some things don't. But it's Tim Curry, and it's the way they play off each other that do it so well for me. Favorite moments, pretty much anything Tim Curry does. But the one scene I've got to mention with Tim Curry is the entire, after they get to the point where everybody's dying basically, and they're just tired, they just want to go home, and Wadsworth just says, okay, I know who done it, follow me, and he starts going into detail at lightning speed how they all died. That bit is just class. It is.
Yeah, I mean that is, as you say, it is the way the fastness of it, and when you realise it's going from the beginning of the movie all the way up to what they are now. Wow.
And it's like he starts off so calm and he gets more manic and deranged in the eyes, like running down the corridor. Run down the corridor.
Yeah.
That bit's brilliant. There's another bit with Tim Curry I quite like. It's near the beginning of the movie where Mr. Body gets killed again because he gets killed twice, and they find him. I think it was like they're in the hallway and the candlestick's above him. And I like this bit where he says, like, so who killed him? And he goes, that's what we're trying to find out. We're trying to find out who killed him and where and with what. And it's that subtle thing where it's like, if you've never played a game, you'll not quite get it. But it's that little subtle thing where it's like the game, Colonel Mustard with the gun in the library, and they're trying to work it all out. I love it when the police arrives. The police arrives and they just what was it? He gets the call and stuff. Like they say, "Why is J. Edgar Hoover calling you?" I don't know. He's got everybody else on his books. Why shouldn't I be on there? Something like that. So he takes the call. They got to pretend like they're having like a very sexy, fun party. And the guy's like, "Oh, you don't have anything to be ashamed about." "We don't." "No, this is America. It's a free country." "I didn't know it was that free." I think my favourite ending as well, which funny enough, I got when I was watching this. My favourite ending is the Miss Scarlet ending. I love all the other endings. They're all very good. But for me, it's the Miss Scarlet ending because I love when it's this whole bit between Wadsworth and Scarlet where he says like, "Oh, you shouldn't have any more bullets because you've shot them all off." No, and he starts going like 1 + 2 + 2 + 1. It should be 1 + 1. And they're sort of like playing mind games with each other until it gets to the point Scarlet's like, "Shut up!"
Yeah, that is a good scene. That
that is a brilliant scene. And then of course he says, "Frankly, Scarlet, I don't give a damn." Bang! 1 + 2 + 1. And then it gets to when they're all going 1 + 2 + 1 + 1. That's my favourite ending.
Yeah, it's cleverly done. That it's well written and it's well acted. But say you've got to sit there and you think, yeah, that is a good scene, or that one is a good scene.
Mm-hmm. It's the lines and how they play off each other and like trying to trick the other.
I mean, sometimes some people
hopefully we can fix that.
They might miss all that sort of wordplay. But yeah, it is well done. Any more, or should we go across the sofa?
I don't know. I think that's about it. I was going to say, I don't know if anybody read. Originally, there was going to be a fourth ending. They had actually filmed a fourth ending, but the directors and all that had deemed, and it was again, I think it was to play out where everybody was poisoned, and again, it was Wadsworth or something. but it was Wadsworth who was the killer, and he wanted to be the perfect killer, and he tries to make some escape, but there's all these dogs in the police car and stuff. And it was deemed a bit too silly, and they actually scraped it and said, no, we'll just stick to the 3 endings.
No. It would
But
be good to have seen that. Could have filmed it. That could have been an
Yeah.
extra on the DVD, couldn't it?
I think there's pictures, because I found there was pictures on Google and stuff. They had a book about the movie or something, and there's 1 or 2 pictures actually where you don't see in the movie, but this was like scenes from the shot. Well, this that they wanted to film, they filmed, but they scraped it and stuff and just said, no, we'll just stick to the 3.
Oh, yeah, well, what
But
would be?
I think that's all my favorite scenes, really.
There is a filmic rule of 3 that a lot of directors and producers kind of hold on to.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, 3 is usually a magic number in filmmaking.
And it's also a song.
Yeah.
I was going to say, sure, that's a song, Magic Number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the other problem is that, unlike Murder by Death, where they kind of leave it a little bit open-ended to, to have a head scratcher, I guess because they figured it was a board game also.
Mhm.
They had to present sort of an ending. But yeah, I mean, if it got to be like, 5 or 6 endings, I think I probably would have, gotten tired of it. And said,
Bit a bit much.
Done, yeah.
So, but I think that's all my scenes. There's so many scenes I could point out, but you guys can point out and stuff.
Yeah, let's not steal any of Susan's and Alex's scenes, shall we? Over to those.
Over to them.
So my favorite scene would have to be where the maid is in the room listening to everybody, and I mean that scene was so funny. Oh my gosh. And I also like the scene where Wadsworth is like yeah, anyway, like the manic moment was great. Yeah, so the recording and the manic moment were my 2 favorites. And then of course, to make a long story short, yeah.
Too late.
Yeah, like I said, it could have been a lot worse. Thank goodness it wasn't. I think they probably could have done, like I said, the other one I mentioned, the other movie I mentioned, I just like it better. They probably could have done more jokes on the characters, but then again, that might have interrupted with the flow. And it is a board game after all, so they probably don't want to get too analytical, even though it is very close to the board game. But of course, it probably isn't going to cover all versions. But yeah, Howard Hessman as the spoilers, as the evangelical cop, and the way that they finally, change and resolve everything. Of course, they have to split up as well because that'll make the movie technically easier to stage all the stunts of the, houses and and singing telegram and all this other things. They're probably too much connected, but again, it's a board game, and it is a pretty good adaptation of a board game because it could have been a lot worse and a lot sillier. And it's just not one of my favorites. It is a good movie. They did good, and I don't remember how many minutes it was, but the nice thing too is it didn't drag too much as well. So, yeah,
93 minutes.
Yeah, so it didn't drag too much, and for the '80s,
didn't drag when Tim Curry was running amok.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's another thing I wanted to mention. Unfortunately, he hasn't been in the best of health.
Yeah.
But he's getting there. Unfortunately, he was invited to do another version of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, but this time as the narrator. And even though I want him to have work, it does sort of muddy up the original version where he was so good. When I first heard of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, I saw it in book form with the pictures. Then I heard the audience participation version. Then I finally saw the actual movie. And I mean, he is so when he's in really good health and when he really chews up the scenery, he's one of the best. That's why people like British actors because they can bring so much energy to their role that a lot of other actors don't necessarily do. Right, training and energy and things like that. So this is one of the movies beside the Rocky Horror Picture Show that if you want to see, him really, put tons of energy and tons of personality, this is one of the movies that you want to see. In terms of the other characters, yeah, they're okay. I like Leslie Ann Warren and Madeline Kahn is funny. But the thing is, I got so used to seeing her with Mel Brooks, it kind of took me out a little bit. That's the other problem too, is that sometimes actors can get so used by the same people that it sort of takes it out a little bit. Just like Christopher Lloyd, I know him from Taxi and Barney Miller and Back to the Future. That it took a little bit out. Because he's had so much more time. He didn't really have a lot of lines either. So, yeah.
This was the same year that Christopher Lloyd made Back to the Future as well. So, it's two different characterizations there. Totally look totally different in each movie.
Right, but I mean, he is one of the actors, and I mean, he's entitled to do this as well. He's one of the actors that he doesn't really change his voice as a general rule.
Oh, no.
So eventually you get, used to it. And so since it is the exact same voice, I mean, I don't want a horrible accent either. So I understand that that's you don't want him talking in a Kenneth Mars German accent like they did in Young Frankenstein. But at the same point, it does take you out a little bit. And he, like I said, he got, I mean, all of them are famous comedians, so I'm sure we know that there's certain roles that they've sort of gotten stuck with and through syndication as well. Because Martin Mull was also in the 80s, 90s version of Sabrina the Teenage Witch as well, where he was in a lot of...
he was the teacher, wasn't he? Was he
the
teacher?
He was, or the principal. No, he was the principal. So you sort of got caught with the just like Leslie Ann Warren also got known for doing a lot of musicals as well, and so it's a little tough sometimes that you sort of you sort of remember their character, but again, that's a compliment in ways too because they put enough energy into it they remember it, but then it's hard when they try to do other roles as well. But like I said, as far as I recall, unless I'm mistaken, most of the people in this movie are still alive. Tim Curry's still alive, even though not in the best of health.
No,
hopefully he gets better. Go ahead.
Arlene Brennan is dead. Madeline Kahn is dead.
Is dead, yeah. I just remembered that Madeline Kahn passed away. But like I said, she was in so many Mel Brooks movies that... and those were spoofs in a way as well. But then there was also the comedy, and this was the 80s where you still had to go to a movie theater.
Yeah.
To be entertained, you had to go. You didn't have VCRs. You didn't, or you did, but they weren't everywhere, and you didn't have the internet back then.
So you couldn't afford them at the time.
Well, you could if you had $600 to.
They were very big as well. I remember one. It's like something else, Star Trek.
Oh yeah. No, I was able to get a VCR for like $50, but the thing was as big and as heavy as a TV. So I mean, but that's good because it'll last. That's the other thing. It wasn't made of it wasn't made of 90% plastic, so it was pretty durable. But yeah, like I said, I remember that Massachusetts showed it at about what I think it was 1 a.m, and they showed all the endings, and they didn't tell anybody. And some people some people liked it, and some people didn't. It was kind of interesting. I guess some people didn't want any of the endings, and some people didn't like that they showed all three. And it's like, okay, guys, we're talking about a movie at 2:00 in the morning here.
You can't please everybody, can you?
So, but like I said, I prefer Murder by Death, but it is a slightly different setup, and it's more people, even though it has Eileen Brennan also in the movie playing a slightly different character.
Yeah.
But
nobody's mentioned. I mean, it has been mentioned, but the singing telegram in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Wriggling from the Go-Go's.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, who would expect that? Open the door, Wriggling. Bang. But for me, I say Tim Curry does steal it for me, but really close is Eileen Brennan, because as Mrs. Peacock, that portrayal of hysterical woman, have I been poisoned? I didn't have to drag her. I put it down. I don't know where I am. I'm going to go to the toilet. I need to the toilet. The hysterical characterization of that of Mrs. Peacock is just brilliant. Wonderful character actress, I'd say, no longer with us. And the Mrs. Peacock ending is good as well. So, all three endings are brilliant. But there is a small part right at the beginning where Tim Curry steps in dog doo-doo. And I thought, when I first saw this movie, I thought they're not going to do this running joke all the way through it, are they? But they didn't. It was only near, a few couple of minutes there, with us as they're walking into the mansion and they're looking at the feet and they're looking at Tim Curry. It makes you giggle. But all in all the performances in this, you can't. Even the cook is a good performance. It was a corpse as well, a good performance, especially when they just drop her on the floor.
The body's gone. Boom.
Yeah, or they're just putting all the bodies in one room. It's just brilliant. Yeah, it is a good movie. As I say, it's not a classic movie. It's not highly. It didn't win any awards or anything like that, as far as I know. But it's just a good, fun movie about murder. Don't forget. So on that note, we will just go around and final says and scores for the 1985's Clue. Ethan, what's your final say and score on this?
I definitely have to give it a 10 out of 10, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give it a 10 out of 10.
Oh, 10 out of 10.
The humour it still has, it still makes me laugh. And I've seen it that many times, but they just really make you laugh.
Yeah, so if this is it, if you don't tire of watching something over and over again, it's doing the job right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a 10 from Ethan. We'll go over to the green screen sofa.
All right. Trying not to pull it down. I enjoy this movie. I will give it an 8 out of 10. It's fun. Tim Curry gets a 10. Tim Curry always gets a 10. But this movie gets an 8. It's fun. It's got lots of action, and it's beautiful. I love when the chandeliers fall. They're lovely chandeliers. It's too bad they had to, take a dump like they did. But anyway, good stuff. Thanks for suggesting this. Ethan, did you suggest it?
No, it was Lee.
Oh, okay.
Yes. As I said,
Oh, then never mind.
Oh, right there. How'd you know?
It was Lee. He deserves the thank you, not me.
He gives compliments in one hand and takes away in the other. Over to Alex before I lose my rag.
I like I said, considering the cast, considering the 3 endings, it could have been a lot worse. Like I said, I'm trying to remember the theater attendance at the time, and some people were grumbling about the 3 endings, and they had to go to 3 different theaters and all that, and they didn't always tell the manager or the projectionist which ending they had.
No.
Also, but like I said, those were the days where you had to wait for it.
Copyright strike.
Yeah, copyright strike. So anyway, yeah, so that's where my relative would say, well, go to the matinee, and then if you really like the movie, you'll find it on, VHS or whatever. Back then, they didn't have DVDs, and they didn't have streaming. So in any case, I'd give it an 8 only because of basically the famous people, and Tim Curry pretty much lifts it out of it just being a sitcom. Because it could have been that way. Like I said, I prefer that other movie, but we're not reviewing that.
He's so amazing.
But yeah, I mean, they probably should do another type of movie like this.
That would be
And
fun.
the Clue now is big on Amazon. They have a teenage version for some reason. They have a teenage team, and they also have something called Cluedo as well. So it's like they have 5 different versions of this that you can see for some reason. So it still has a big following, and why not? It's a very good board game. I know some people that love this board game. So not myself.
I do.
Some people that love the board game. So.
Apparently Lee does.
Yeah, and the other thing too is, it probably couldn't have. The cast is probably 90% there, if not 100.
Yeah.
Because I can't think of too many other people that, and that's the other question. This probably was made for an American audience as well. So that's probably why they had the cast the way that they do. And I don't remember seeing the credits. So unfortunately, I love watching the credits, which they've gotten rid of for the last 20 years. You either don't see them or they go by too fast and you can't read them. So back in the old days, and that was one of the fun parts of, and we know because of Marvel, that was one of the fun things about being in the movie theater as well, is that you could see the credits and you could see the trailers, and you could see some movies that added an extra scene after the credits. So, but I like having that. I've always liked having that where I can have the credits and read and see if I recognize a name or see if I can say, oh, this person did this and this and this as well. Because, hey, if you worked on the film, wouldn't you want a credit on there? Wouldn't you want people to see it?
Well, yeah, so right. That's what they should be there for. I've just remembered something before I do my final trade score. Ethan will mostly know, but we also had a TV series of Cluedo back in the 1990s. I think it lasted about 4 or 5 series, and it was a murder mystery. You had to figure out who was it, Professor Plum, Colonel Mustard, from all these scenes that played out.
Mm.
But, I know I remember one series, Tom Baker was Professor Plum. That just comes to my head now.
Yeah, it was. God, I've just forgotten all about that until you've brought it up.
Oh, that would be good, actually. Of course, he also was Sherlock Holmes in a TV movie as well.
Mysteries.
Yeah, it just came into my head. I remember it vaguely from the 1990s. There was a TV on British TV. I don't know if it went across to the America, but yeah. As for the movie, it's enjoyable. It's not really dated, but as you say, you don't tire of watching it. There is scenes in there you think you're brilliantly acted, as you said, Eileen Brennan, Tim Curry, Madeline Kahn, well, all the cast really. But am I going to go 10 as Ethan, or am I going to go 8? 8.75. I don't like to cause arguments.
Oh, yes, you do.
I was hoping that had been, because seeing as she gave compliments and took it away, I was hoping by the end of this cast that there'd been death by green screen and it would have swallowed Susan up.
It almost did. It just kind of broke up a little bit, but it's not broken. But
I'll get you back. I will. But yeah. Oh dear. Yes, I've got a good memory. I'll remember. So that's it for this cast. Thank you guys for joining us and talking Clue. You guys out there, if you're watching this and you've stuck with us, give us a thumbs up, give us a dislike, leave a comment. If you want to join in this wonderful world of Geeks Assembled, I said that between gritted teeth. Wonderful world. Get in touch with us. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're all over the place. Just leave us a comment.
Leeson Hall.
God, the dark side.
Usually on a Saturday, I'm in hell. Oh no, so the Geeks Assembled. Sorry, damn.
We're in Boston.
Oh, there's money in the box. Yeah, but if you want to be part of this group, just get in touch. But we would like new people to join in.
With civic pride.
Don't make me laugh. But on that note, then I can't carry on anymore. Where's my drink? Where's the alcohol? Over to you, Susan.
Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye.
okay, so